Okay, so Goku versus Mori Jin. I decided to make a video discussing this topic simply because one of my subscribers suggested it to me down in the comments section of one of my other videos and was very adamant about me making a video discussing this matchup. And since I'm sort of caught between uploads right now, I thought, why not? This topic has the potential to make a very interesting upload considering the hype surrounding the strength of both these characters. Not to mention both Mori Jin and Goku are actually based on the exact same character, that character being Sun Wukong. So with the authors of each series respectively taking inspiration for these characters from the same place, of course the possibility exists that these characters are at least relative to one another in power. So with that being said, in this video I will be discussing the attack potency, speed, durability of both Mori Jin and Goku and comparing them to see which one of them would have the advantage in a fight. So without further delay, let's cue my intro and jump right into the Mori Jin portion of the scale. Alright, so to start, Mori Jin should scale massively above the likes of Morihyu, his clone, and Jade Emperor Dawi, being able to fight and beat the likes of Satan, who himself could casually dick slap both Morihyu and Dawi at the same time while heavily suppressed and sort of just playing around. Morihyu and Dawi, when working together, being entities who possessed enough power to push Jupiter back into its orbit from Earth after Satan had just casually thrown it at these niggas at like fucking FTL speeds, like some sort of fucking Major League Baseball player. A feat which has been calculated requiring anywhere from 1.1 times 10 to the 46 joules of energy, all the way to 3.2 times 10 to the 50th joules of energy, which is solar system level. And Mori Jin, while in base, should scale to these levels of power, as he fought a much stronger variant of Satan than Dawi and Morihyu did, and for the majority of said battle, he was in base. And to top it off, Mori Jin then proceeds to amp himself by 250,000 times via acupuncture, further cementing that he should scale way above both of them. And we can actually get an entirely new tier of power for Mori Jin using this amp. Via taking the previous value of 3.2 times 10 to the 50th joules we applied to Mori Jin's base power, and then multiplying it by the previously established amp of 250,000 times Mori Jin receives from his acupuncture technique, we end up with what should be Mori Jin's maximum joule output value of 8 times 10 to the 55 joules of energy, which is pretty much multi-solar system level. And him having these multi-solar system level amounts of power is extremely consistent and actually kind of a fucking lowball, as Mori Jin is a being comparable to, if not stronger than, the likes of Supreme God Satan. Satan being an entity stated to have a power greater than that of the combined strength of every god in the heavenly realm. And this is so impressive because even fodder gods like fucking Hercules, who Morihyu, Mori Jin's clone, who we just established Mori Jin himself would shit on, was capable of holding up the constellations in the fucking sky, which is potentially a multi-solar system level feat. But by far Mori Jin's most impressive feat is him being able to vaporize over 200 quadrillion Satan clones with a single kick, a feat which, when taking into consideration the most probable durability of each clone, the sheer number of clones, and the area of space the clones encompassed, has been calculated requiring upwards of 8.1 times 10 to the 129 joules of energy, which is fucking universal. And Mori Jin is also stated fourth dimensional by Satan, which would make him by default universal plus, as fourth dimensional entities will always exist in inaccessible cardinal or a set of uncountable infinity higher than beings with infinite three-dimensional power, who themselves are already high universal. So Now that we've established that Mori Jin is multi-solar system level as a bare fucking minimum, even though that more so scales to a clone variant of Mori Jin, right? To anywhere to like fucking Universal Plus, let's move into Mori Jin speed scaling and then jump right into Goku. Okay, so Mori Jin speed-wise is actually stupid impressive. After first awakening his powers as Sun Wukong, he was capable of extending his staff Yui to the moon before a spear, which was more than likely traveling at massively hypersonic speeds, could hit Dawi at point-blank range, a feat which has been calculated requiring a speed of over 200,000 times the speed of light, which is MFTL+. He was also capable of traversing an interstellar distance within a couple of seconds in order to save Ilpo Park from the Jade Emperor, another feat which has been calculated at MFTL+, this time being 4.45 million times the speed of light. But once again, his most impressive feat in the speed category also comes from his clone vaporizing feat. In this feat, Mori Jin was capable of producing a shockwave which pretty much instantaneously vaporized every Satan clone there was. Using various statements about the amount of area said clones occupied, a calc was made which placed the speed at which the shockwave produced would have to have been moving at anywhere from 146 billion through 1.47 octillion times the speed of light, which is MFTL+, but extremely high MFTL+. We could even argue Mori Jin has infinite speed using this same clone feat, as Satan himself states that if the number of clones he's producing continues to grow at this pace, then it won't be long before the number of clones reaches infinity, meaning the rate of expansion of the clones would have to be infinite, as it's impossible for a finite numerical value to grow to infinity unless the rate at which said numerical value grew was also infinite. And in order for Mori Jin to destroy all these clones simultaneously, the shockwave he produced with his kick would have to exceed the rate of expansion of the clones, meaning the shockwave itself would also have to have infinite speed. So yeah, Mori Jin is MFTL+ consistently through infinite speed if we highball the shit out of him. So moving on into Goku's scaling. Okay, so what is easily one of Goku's most impressive feats throughout the entire Dragon Ball series was actually accomplished during Goku's first confrontation with Beerus. And in this confrontation, Goku, simply by clashing fists with the God of Destruction, was capable of producing multiple shockwaves which traversed the entire Universe 7 macrocosm, even being felt in the Kaioshin realm. These shockwaves were powerful enough to make even the Kais believe that if they continued, the entire Universe 7 macrocosm would be reduced to a void of absolute nothingness. Keep in mind the Universe 7 macrocosm is composed of at least 3 separate time spaces, each time space arguably being of an infinite size, at least according to the Daizenshu. These time spaces being the living world, the Kaioshin realm, and the afterlife. So basically, Goku was on the verge of destroying 3 separate time spaces or universes, all of which infinite in size, which is a low multiversal feat. Goku then would go on to absorb the power he obtained from Super Saiyan God into his base, making base Goku post Battle of Gods low multiversal. After this, Goku would go on to battle and even imply he could beat beings like Infinite Zamasu, who fused with the entire Universe 7 macrocosm and its diverging timelines. And the manifestation of a new timeline in the Dragon Ball universe is stated to bring forth an entirely new parallel realm to match said timeline, meaning that the U7 macrocosm, which consists of at least 7 diverging timelines, could actually be composed of 21 separate time spaces, seeing as how these 7 timelines themselves would bring forth the manifestation of an entirely new Universe 7 macrocosm parallel to the one they exist inside of. Basically, what I'm saying is that the Universe 7 macrocosm could be composed of 7 other Universe 7 macrocosms, which themselves were brought into existence by these 7 divergent timelines, which themselves exist within the Universe 7 macrocosm. And since Goku is relative in strength to the being who embodies these constructs, he should also scale to this level of power. And even if you don't think Goku is relative to Infinite Zamasu at this point in time, and that he was just massively overestimating himself, that's fine, because Goku would then go on to body fucking Jiren in UI. Jiren being someone who, even when suppressed, is stated to have power which surpasses all other antagonists the Z Fighters have ever faced. This would obviously include Infinite Zamasu. Goku at this point in time should also have surpassed Beerus in strength, being stronger than Jiren, who himself is stated verbatim numerous times to surpass every god of destruction in power, including Beerus. Beerus being someone capable of destroying both the U7 and U6 macrocosms in his battle with Champa, another low multiversal feat. So basically, Goku is consistently low multiversal, and these are just the normal tiers said Battle of Gods and Infinite Zamasu. As stated before, Goku should be low multiversal in base, and unlike low 2C beings or Universal Plus beings, a 2C entity like base Goku can possibly receive tier increases via finite multipliers depending on how big the amp said character receives from said multipliers. I went over this in a post on Instagram. I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. But what this means is Goku could possibly be 2B or low multiverse or just regular multiversal after obtaining all the amps he receives from his various forms like Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue and all the other fucking Super Saiyans, and then adding them on top of his base or multiplying his base by said multipliers. And there are even statements about Goku transcending space and time, which could potentially make Goku 5D and by extension low complex multiversal, as space-time is a fourth dimensional construct, and to transcend something can mean to exist an inaccessible cardinal or a set of uncountable infinity higher than said object you transcend, like it does in the context of dimensional transcendence. So Goku, by virtue of transcending the 4D, would be 5D. It's a really weird argument and it's wank as fuck. I just wanted to mention it for the purpose of explaining all the arguments which pertain to Goku's power. There's even another 5D argument which talks about Goku affecting the spaces between universes or some shit like that. And the spaces between universes is considered 5D for some reason. I don't really understand the argument, so I can't really explain it, but if I find a clip on YouTube of someone explaining it, I'll throw it up on the screen. So yeah.
Or does it have to be on a higher level of speed? So, like, some people will say, okay, the universe is fourth dimensional. Okay, the universe itself is 4D. Okay, now this is just whatever the fuck they say. Okay, I'm not saying I agree or disagree, okay? So they say the universe is fourth dimensional, and then they say, the reason they say, you know, multiverses can be like fifth dimensional or whatever is because it surpasses that time space, and then, you know, that space is infinitely engulfing or withholding all of those fourth dimensional spaces. So they think to travel between each of those spaces or universes, you would be traveling inside of the fifth dimensional space or the fourth dimensional space. So they think like traveling between the universe or outside of it would be going into that higher space. So they consider you have to have like a really higher tier of speed to even move in that higher space. It's a weird argument. I'm not going to say it's true or false or whatever, but that's something to consider for sure.
So to conclude the AP portion of this video for Goku, Goku consistently scales to low multiversal. He's possibly just straight up multiversal. And if you wank the fuck out of him, he could be low complex multiversal or 5D, right? So let's move on into the speed portion of this video for Goku, and then we'll get to the conclusion. Okay, so Goku speed-wise is probably just as impressive as you'd expect him to be. As stated before, he was capable of producing a shockwave with his punches that traversed the entire infinite Universe 7 macrocosm in an extremely short amount of time. It is impossible to traverse an infinite distance within a finite amount of time, utilizing a finite speed. And an aspect of infinite speed is actually being able to traverse an infinite distance within a finite amount of time, making Goku's attack speed at this point in time infinite. Goku himself is also capable of movement within worlds where time is non-existent, and movement within timeless voids, i.e. areas within a setting that lack time or exist outside the flow of time, is very contentious as to what speed tier it actually grants. Some thinking it grants immeasurable speed, other thinking it grants inaccessible speed. But before I can explain why there's a divide in the community on what speed tier this actually grants, I first have to explain what immeasurable and inaccessible speed is. And doing that is extremely simple. Immeasurable speed, at least to me, is moving or existing within a manner to which the speed formula cannot be applied, and inaccessible speed is moving within areas of space where time is stopped. And just off the definitions of these two speeds I gave you, I'm pretty sure you can understand why movement within areas of space where time doesn't exist is sort of a gray area for the scaling community, as some might be tempted to apply the speed formula to areas of this composition. The speed formula being speed equals distance over time, and say that time equals 0 in this situation. Thus, the speed formula can be used and still does apply to said characters moving within this area of space. Just that time would equal 0, so it'd be blank speed, blank distance, time 0, right? So yeah, they're saying the speed formula can still be applied. T would just equal 0, so it's not undefined. Therefore, movement within areas of this space or of this composition would result in inaccessible speed. However, some might say in a timeless void, time does not exist, making the T or time in the speed formula not applicable, meaning movement within voids of this composition would actually grant immeasurable speed, because as stated before, the definition of immeasurable speed is moving in a manner to which the speed formula cannot be applied. And this definitely can be accomplished by making the T in the speed formula undefined or not accounted for. So yeah, this shit is convoluted as fuck. That's why I'm leaving this portion of the video ambiguous. You can either say Goku has infinite speed, you can say he has immeasurable speed, or you can say he has fucking inaccessible speed. And if you want to lowball Goku for some reason, you don't like the infinite speed metas, we can lowball him by saying, okay, he's at least somewhat comparable to beings like Whis, who himself was capable of traveling from the Beerus realms to Earth in just a couple of seconds, a feat which has been calculated requiring a speed ranging anywhere from 400 through 500 quadrillion times faster than the speed of light, which is MFTO plus. So yeah, Goku is MFTO plus. If we just like shit on him and say, yeah, the infinite speed meta is ass and let's lowball him, right? Or he's infinite speed by virtue of his punchers traversing an infinite distance within a finite amount of time, or he's inaccessible and possibly immeasurable speed by virtue of him being able to traverse in like areas of space where time doesn't fucking exist, right? Or we could just say he's immeasurable speed because he transcends time, and to transcend something can be to like make that shit irrelevant, where like it's like just it doesn't like the shit wouldn't affect you, right? And you know, as stated before, moving or existing within a manner to which the speed formula cannot be applied is immeasurable speed. If you transcend the T or time in the speed formula, right, then the T goes undefined, right? Therefore, the entire speed formula is fucking useless and can't be applied to you. So we could even get Goku to immeasurable speed off that shit. So yeah, either way, I'm cool with whatever you say about Goku's speed because it's all so fucking contentious, right? So if you want to say he's MFTL plus, if you want to say he's infinite speed, if you want to say he's inaccessible speed, if you want to say he's fucking immeasurable speed, go ahead and do that. I don't really care. Let's just get to the conclusion of this video. Okay, so for those of you who watched this video in its entirety, you probably already know this fight's conclusion. Mori Jin, despite his immense strength, would only possess multi-solar system level through baseline universal amounts of power, at least in terms of his destructive capacity, and would only reach the lowest level of tier 2 power, or low 2C, aka universal plus, by virtue of a possible 4D existence, whereas Goku is consistently low multiversal even while in base, and with Super Saiyan multipliers possibly even reaches a straight up multiversal level of power. Goku could even potentially reach the lower levels of tier 1 power by virtue of a possible 5D existence, aka low complex multiversal. So at least in terms of AP, Goku has a massive advantage, with Mori Jin probably not even scaling to his base power. The only way I could see Mori Jin winning, or doing really any sort of damage to Goku, is if Goku decides to drop his guard during their battle, which has been shown to put him in vulnerable states, such as him being able to get injured by things like bullets, rocks, and fodder laser beams while in these off-guard states. As for speed, Goku would also have the advantage there. Mori Jin, despite having insane MFTL plus feats, which would place him at billions and trillions of times faster than the speed of light, and possibly even possessing a speed which transcends any finite numerical value which could be applied to it, that speed being infinite, Goku has obtained similar levels of speed even while limited to some of his weaker forms. And even if we were to limit both of these fighters to their MFTL plus levels of speed, Goku would still have the advantage, being quadrillions of times faster than the speed of light compared to Mori Jin's 1 octillion times. And even if we give Mori Jin infinite speed, Goku has obtained this in some of his weakest forms, like Super Saiyan God, right? Which he got at the very beginning of Super, end of Z, if you consider the Battle of Gods movie. And Goku on top of that has possibly obtained a speed which transcends even time and possibly the concept of measurable speed as we know it, that speed being a measurable speed. All in all, Goku is faster and stronger than Mori Jin, even while limited to his base strength. He should take the dub fairly easily, although there is one argument we can make which places Mori Jin way infinitely above Goku, but this shit is wank as fuck, like super wank, the pinnacle of Mori Jin wank, right? And it really shouldn't be used in any context, right? That's why I didn't put it in this video. But if you want to go check it out, linked to my my original Mori Jin video in the description below. Feel free to go do that. It's a pretty good video. It's the first scaling video I ever uploaded over here. And shit, cue my outro.